The Crusades by Sofia, Carlier, Manuela, and Amaya.
What were the primary motivating factors for the first four crusades? Were they successful?
We think that the primary motivating factors for the first four crusades were religious, political, and economic interest. In the first crusade, Christians conquered Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and won the battle. However, the three crusades that occurred afterward were gained by the Muslims.
The Crusades. When and what? The Crusades were a series of 8 Christian military expeditions fought against the Muslims for conquering the Holy Land between the years of 1096 and 1492 CE. Around 1095 CE, a new group of Muslims took control of the Holy Lands, including Jerusalem, and closed them to all the Jewish and Christian pilgrims. Then, in 1093, Turks threatened to conquer the Byzantine Empire's capital, Constantinople. The emperor of the Byzantine Empire asked the Pope Urban II to regain these lands, and he agreed to help calling for the First Crusade. The Pope also hoped that the Crusades would also give the Roman Catholic Church power over the Church of the Byzantine Empire, and he also wanted to reduce warfare at home, making the nobles fight between Muslims instead between them.
Who and where? The Crusades were organized by the Western European Christians. They were identified as Crusaders because they used a red cross in their armory and body protection. In the 15 July 1099, during the First Crusade, the Jews fought along the Muslims to protect Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and as a consequence, they were massacred. The Crusades mainly took place in Jerusalem because it was the Holy Land and they were fighting for it. So this map shows that the purple area is the Christians' lands, the yellow area is the Muslim land, and the arrows and the different colors in the arrows, they show the different routes that the Crusaders took during the different crusades.
Persia. Religion. Christians found themselves in a very defensive position. They wanted power over everything. In this case, they wanted to fight for their Holy Land. Muslims were coming out from their golden age. They had invested their lives in making their own society rise, and for them the Crusades were never seen as a holy war but as an invasion of their territory. The church reform led to the Crusades because of the ambition of the Christian church. In the beginning, the goal was to prevent Turks from invading the Byzantine Empire. Later, the goal was to conquer the Holy Land, and in the end, the Crusaders wanted to show the superiority of the religion over the others. To conclude, the Crusades had economical, political, social, and religious goals. During the Middle Ages, the Middle East and Europe were divided into Christians and Muslims, making the Byzantine Empire the front line. Both of the religions' states were frequently at war, especially during the 11th century. The Turks migrated south and formed an empire for themselves, and in 1071, the Byzantine Empire defeated the Turks, but nevertheless, the Turks were able to conquer Anatolia. Anatolia was an important loss for the Christians because this territory was full of Christian history. Religion became the perfect excuse, united everyone to fight for the Crusades. Even though the Crusaders were fighting in the name of their supreme god and their faith, many other factors of interest had to do with their participation in this series of confrontations.
Politics. European nobles wanted governmental power, so they didn't actually join the Crusades because they believed in what they were doing, but because they already had a high rank, but they didn't wanted more money, but governmental power. The Crusades broke down the feudal aristocracy. So feudal means that the ruler will make exchange with the citizens. For example, if a farmer wants land, then the ruler would give the farmer land, but the farmer would give him military service. And aristocracy means a form of a government in which the throne is hereditary. The main goal was to have an army full of knights and prepared for war, but this didn't occur because there were many peasants seeking spiritual salvation who joined. And some of the cities Crusaders conquered were not given to the king.
Economy. The economy was one of the reasons for the Crusades to start. Merchants wanted access to the numerous Asian routes and to their resources. By conquering territory, merchants would be able to acquire access to these routes and the resources. At the end of the Crusades, many cities were conquered and became important trading centers. The expansion of trade and the development of towns led to the rise of the king's power. Additionally, Crusaders returned with Asian goods and increased the trade in Europe. Although this helped the Americans and was a positive achievement for Europe, economic impacts were severe after the wars. European wealth declined because of the investments made in the Crusades for accomplishing the main goal, conquering the Holy Land. Even though the Crusades expanded and improved the trade, they also harmed prominently Europe's economy.
Stereotypes. The Crusades created many stereotypes in our world, taking in account they had to do greatly with the religions that are main part of the society. A great amount of Muslims live in Spain. Morons are greatly discriminated because they are still seen as the enemy. Muslims still perceive Christians as invaders and often feel attacked just with the presence of Europeans and Christians. The two religions that were involved in this confrontation are part of the 5 major religions of the world. Therefore, this encounter created many statements socially created by society.
What was happening elsewhere in world history?
The 100-Year War. So this war was a war or a struggle between England and France over the French throne. It is ironic because it lasted for 116 years. It was from 1337 to 1453. So it didn't actually lasted for 100 years as its name says. Some of the most important battles were the Battle of Crécy, the Battle of Poitiers, Battle of La Rochelle, Battle of Agincourt, Siege of Orleans. This war wasn't continuous because there wasn't enough money.
The Mongol Empire. This empire was founded in 1206. It was the largest empire in the history of the world. They conquered what is now Asia, Korea, China, Tibet, Persia, Russia, and parts of Europe, India, and Vietnam. Mongols were very skilled horsemen and had great abilities with the bow. They took many warfare technology to defeat their rivals, for example, the cannon. The Mongols were very skilled, and this is why they became so famous and so powerful over the whole world.
Islamic Golden Age. It lasted between 800 DC until 1258. Scholars and polymaths from diverse places of the world gathered and translated different texts into Arabic and Persian. Human history was revolutionized with these historic inventions fabricated in various intellectual fields. Conclusion.
In conclusion, many factors of interest led to the confrontation between these two powerful religious groups. Both Christians and Muslims fought for their pride and their holy territory. Even though this was a war that defended the worshipping of their god, it ended up being a reason to kill enemies and, as well, in some cases, their own community, which went against all their moral values. The Turks saw this as an opportunity to show their strength and pride, and even though the First Crusades were a downfall for them, they were able to go back and regain their lands and territory. The socio-political interest from the European Crusaders led their greed and ambition into the extreme state of envy and destruction against the Turks.